Wait, you mean to tell me Americans don't want to pick lettuce for $2 an hour? No. Now the farmers are crying because they can't find any workers.
Trump went on Fox News and basically said, we shouldn't have kicked the immigrants out. The farmers ain't got nobody.
I know goddamn well Trump didn't think that we finna get back in the motherfucking fields. So Trump gonna get his ass on goddamn TV talking about he prematurely deported the illegals that was working in the farms.
People Trump deported, y'all should be proud. Cause Trump just said on Fox Live and said the quiet part out loud. Trump just said, I kicked all of them out too fast. We thought once we kicked them out, all the people in urban communities, aka black people, was gonna get back in these fields.
So now Cheeto Puff is saying that he want to bring the immigrants back to the United States because the inner city people, us, are not getting in the field like he thought that we were going to. Y'all really voted for that big soggy Cheeto Puff to sit up here and play Jeopardy with our lives? He is literally playing Jeopardy with the American lives, and y'all sat there and voted.
Trump just said, I kicked all of them out too fast. We thought once we kicked them out, all the people in urban communities, aka black people, was going to get back in these fields. Trump, what the hell you thought this was? Selma? Hell no, we ain't doing that. Nigga, we'll sell t-shirts on our truck before we do that. I hope that wasn't part of the game plan originally. Trump said, listen, we got to get some of the people from that we kicked out the country back. We got to get them back legally. We'll give them their papers and all. We ain't got no damn farmers. You didn't think about this before you kicked them out? Huh? Listen, the last people who was doing that, their last name was Tubman and shit like that. We ain't into that no more. We got black businesses. We'll figure it out here. Okay, we'll buy a couple stamps. We ain't doing that. Listen, to all the African people, Haitian, Spanish, whoever got kicked out of the country, even people who was doing good in their country in England and British people, listen, he needs y'all back. He ain't think about it. This is your time to get your paperwork together and come back legally so that way nobody can mess with y'all for generations to come, okay? Trump said, listen, I thought about it. I kicked y'all out. But our economy wasn't ready for that. The economy said, oh, wait a minute, nigga. Oh, this ain't that type of party. Okay? So now he working on getting them back. Now, Trump did say some wild stuff about, he asked some farmers, what'll happen if they back break. I'm not even repeating that whole joke because it's kind of crazy. But Trump, I don't think nobody proofread what he got to say. I don't think he read none of the stuff that they tell him to say. I think he just say whatever come to mind. Listen. Trump said he got to get the illegals back so they can be legal, okay? I'm just here to bring y'all the news. I'm just the messenger.
Trump basically tells Fox News that he regrets busting down on the immigrants and sending them back home because his farmers now need help. And all I can say is I knew he was going to regret this shit because there's no person really working harder than an immigrant due to the simple fact that they're on a mission. They're on a mission. They come to this country just to work. Immigrant is probably the hardest working person you know. Hands down. No ifs or buts about it. And it's just like they was not bothering you. I knew in the end time you were going to need these people to take care of life in America. If you really think about it, who are building these bridges that we drive on? Immigrants. Who are building these houses? Immigrants. Who are cutting the grass? Immigrants. So now that your farmers are in need, you want to double down and say, oh, we're going to bring back the immigrants and make sure they come legally. It's not easy to get rid of them. Well, you try to challenge the situation and it backfired on your life. Don't bring them back now. You broke up happy homes because you hated immigrants. But now that you're in need and you thought the black people was going to enslave and help your farmers, which they're not. This is not back in the day. They barely want to work. They barely want to work. Don't bring the immigrants back now.
Donald Trump has backtracked, and he has essentially admitted that we need immigrants here in the United States of America. Okay, so in a press conference, this man says, y'all, racism is so expensive. This man says, basically that farmers are suffering because they don't have workers, and people in the inner city are not going to take those jobs. And we know how to dissect what he said. Essentially what he's saying is, they marketed their campaign as, oh, we're taking back our jobs. We're taking back our jobs. And they thought the legal people of color were going to go take those jobs. He essentially said the black and brown people in the inner city are not going to take those farm jobs. No. And those undocumented immigrants who are working those jobs, that was their only option to make money in this country. You know, they left, some of them left dangerous countries. They wanted better lives for their children, better education. They just wanted a better life overall. And so they took what they could. And those jobs were modern day slavery, okay? Those people were freaking working 7 days a week, 10-hour days for like $10 an hour in the hot sun, picking fruit. Like, and you thought like those people aren't doing that because they think that that's a good pay. And you thought, you know, people who are legal citizens were gonna go do that. You could make more money at McDonald's.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from whatever you're watching from. I'm your host and present Agent Stories. Brothers and sisters, there is a message, or there is something that Mr. Donald Trump has learned so much painfully. He has learned that black people know their value. Black people are not those type of people that you can just wake up in the morning and you just want to use them. They hold value because these are a group of people who knows what they want, and they have seen the intentions of the United States and how it has always treated them throughout the history. Remember, the main issue of Mr. Donald Trump taking out all immigrants, all the ICE raids that were happening. Yes, it was true. Black people could not get deported, right? In as much as this is an issue that made a lot of folks so much mad. But Trump was doing what he wanted. Because no, the United States economy cannot run without black Americans. And now this is the catch. The main idea or the main intention of Mr. Donald Trump taking out all the immigrants and leaving black Americans. First, we need to agree that black Americans cannot be deported, right? From there, right? Now, at the back of his head, it was like, oh, since we cannot deport black people, the United States did black people. Now, I hope now they'll go to the farms and work for these lazy white people who cannot go and work in these farms, right? And it's not like black people cannot work on the farms. It is because the rates that they are giving are so much, it is a minimum amount of wage that an elder person with bills cannot go and work in those places. Because for the longest time, black people are sure that they have the skills to work on the farm, and black farmers have been doing equally well. So there is something about black people. But indeed, they expected, right? But it came to their disappointment when black people did not want to go and work on these farms because they understand their value. And that's one thing that made me proud about black people in the United States. So brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video. I'll be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. If you're watching me for the first time, you know I'm your host and present Agent Stories. So kindly, let's watch the video. I'll be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. Let's keep watching the video.
For fast food, I would join the military before I did that, like, to be honest. And what I've peeped about these businesses that used to employ undocumented workers, like farmers, some construction companies, other small businesses, they can't even afford to pay more than what they were paying. Y'all can't even afford to pay really a livable wage, a wage that, you know, somebody who is a citizen would accept for the type of work that you're asking for, but you voted against your own interest. Like, I hope that, you know, all of these undocumented immigrants who are going to make their way back, I hope they realize you have power. And right now, the power is in your hands. And don't go back for them pennies, okay? You have a lot of leverage right now. You have a lot of leverage right now. And y'all, like I said, being racist is so expensive.
Trump went on Fox News and basically said, we shouldn't have kicked the immigrants out. The farmers ain't got nobody. The inner city people ain't gonna do it, so we need to bring them back.
Sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on. So we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, you know, these are these people, you can't replace them very easily. You know, people that live in the inner city are not doing that.
Damn right, the people in the inner city ain't doing that work. He basically thought he was going to deport everybody and then we was going to go back in those fields. What the hell this man was thinking? Those days is over and they ain't coming back. Now he want to think about bringing the immigrants back because farmers are struggling. You should have thought about that beforehand. You already knew these people wasn't going to survive because you took away they people to help run their shit. Now he doubling down and he want them to come back legally.
Wait, you mean to tell me Americans don't want to pick lettuce for $2 an hour? No. Now the farmers are crying because they can't find any workers. Ain't that something? After you pushed out all of the immigrant workers who actually did the job, now you're standing around wondering why Chet and Kaylee won't come pick your cabbage in 100-degree weather for $4.75 and a Capri Sun? Y'all really thought folks were going to jump at the chance to break their backs for pennies on a dollar. But you know what's even funnier, y'all? Some of these farmers say the American workers they do get, they don't even last the whole damn day. One guy said somebody walked off by lunch, and honestly, I support it. Listen, I wouldn't be out there picking strawberries and fighting bees and being dehydrated just so that farmer could sell those strawberries for $12.99 a box at Whole Foods. Negative. See, they've been telling you this lie for years. They took our jobs. Nah, Americans, you didn't want those jobs. You just didn't want them to have the jobs either. Now look at you, a field full of crops and not a soul to pick them. Next time, think twice before turning labor into a culture war. Because now, it's just you and your own damn tomatoes.
So now Cheeto Puff is saying that he want to bring the immigrants back to the United States because the inner city people, us, are not getting in the field like he thought that we were going to. Y'all really voted for that big soggy Cheeto Puff to sit up here and play Jeopardy with our lives? He is literally playing Jeopardy with the American lives, and y'all sat there and voted for that. What did this man really think was getting ready to happen? You gathering enough people to go snatch people off the streets, taking them out the fields. Now stuff starting to fall, produce not being produced. Now you want to bring them back. You're going to have to pay them to bring them back. Do you know how you embarrass them folks, snatching them off the streets, throwing them in vans, throwing them in cars, putting stuff over their head? They don't know where they're going, throwing them in these camps, mistreating them, and now you want to bring them back? This is your president, right?
Hey guys, it's Leash. Listen, your president, not mine, has decided that he is going to reverse this whole deportation situation and is suggesting that people come back to America to work these farms and everything. Not saying sorry, not acknowledging that what he did was probably one of the most horrific things you could do to people and families, children, tearing families apart or anything. No, he is basically saying that, the farmers here need help. And so they're going to educate them, get them legally sent back to this country to do the work that he thought the folks in the inner city would have been able to do. Clearly, if you read between those lines, he thought that black people were going to get out in these fields and do the work that the folks that he deported would have done. And to that I say, sir, you are so detached from the people that it is pathetic at this point. How in the hell did you think that black people were going to get in the fields and do that work? Like, is anyone consulting with you? I'm being so serious, y'all, because it's like, sir, most black people are established in some way, which speaks to the lack of understanding and knowledge and whatever else you want to say as it relates to black people and understanding the progression of black people in this country. Not everybody's waiting for some handout and, oh yeah, I'll go work those fields. You're smoking something, sir. And it's not good. It's not good. So yeah, that's your president.
Y'all, so apparently the Republicans thought if they got rid of the illegals and they put more financial pressure on the black communities and the people of color that are American citizens, that we would want to go in the fields and we would want to do the work that the previous citizens that hadn't yet to obtain their citizenship would do. Now, hear me out. When the produce immediately changed, at first I was a little annoyed. I live in Arizona for perspective. So yeah, they here. They out here for real. And it hit us immediately. It hit us immediately. Do you hear me? When the produce went bad, at first, and not bad, but like it just was, you could tell. Like you can tell the difference. At first I was a little annoyed, but then I sat back and was like, no, actually, no, for real. That's what they need. They need to see that. And it wasn't just the produce. That's the crazy part. It was the produce and so much other shit that immediately like came like a wave through Arizona. They needed that wake-up call. I've been staring at a house that has been taking upwards of at least, I want to say 7-8 months to finish. Before they left, I used to watch, because this is where I live at, the whole strip is being developed. I watched them complete an entire development in under a year. I watched them complete an entire development in under a year. For perspective, it's a big ass development too. The entire development was done in under a year. There are houses on this strip in the past 6 months, they just been sitting. I had to stand still. Crickets, where y'all at? When the produce went bad, I was annoyed at first, but then I said, no, they need this wake-up call. They need to know the contribution, citizenship or not, that these people actually make to this country. They need to understand that a land that was already built off of stolen land does not give you the right to kick people out when their ancestors were indigenous to this land. You need to understand the contribution and the amount of work that they did the jobs you didn't want to do, that I don't want to do on a daily basis. You also need to understand their contribution. Now, Trump wants to bring them back legally. Because he's like, them niggas is not trying to get out there in the sun. And they not trying to do none of that work. And not. Why? So you can treat us 10 times worse? You going to have to pay to play, baby. You going to have to pay them people to come back here. You going to have to pay them people to come back here. Y'all humiliated them in front of the whole world in the nastiest, most vicious ways. You going to have to pay them people to come back here. Oh, and just so you know, our produce has increased. So I know they let some of y'all back in. I know they let some of them back in. Don't lie. I know they pushed some of them applications through and was like, listen, when can you clock back in? Okay? Everything's going to shit. I bet it is. I bet it is. I bet it is. You need to issue a very public apology. You need to offer them something. Offer them something. Offer them something. Excluding the Cubans that was like, oh my God. I vote for Donald Trump. Lead them out. They wasn't doing no work, no way. They wasn't doing no work, no motherfucking way. They think that they white. Lead them out. But yeah, y'all, Donald Trump said that because the black people don't want to do the jobs that the illegal citizens that they deported, because they don't want to do those jobs, they gonna have to let some people back in. Y'all, they built Alligator Alcatraz without even so much as thinking about. And now that I think about it, I don't think that they're going to let them back in without putting them through like a Squid Games kind of situation. Let me know what y'all think. Am I the only one that's clocking tea? Because you just built Alligator Alcatraz. And there has been a 60-minute video about you dumping people's bodies in the ocean and bodies washing up along the shore. So I don't know. Maybe you should have thought this one through.
So I know Donald Trump ain't regretting deportation, huh? Wait a minute. Did I read that right? Did I hear that right? Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. So you regretting deportation. You went around and had ICE snatch them people clean about the fields. Clean about the fields. Arrested them. Took them to countries that wasn't even their own original countries. And put them in camps that looked like concentration camps. For what? Did you think you had another race that you can pop into those jobs? Did you think you can pay another race as little as you were paying those people from other countries who were here illegally? That's what you thought. You thought if you put the pressure, jack the prices up of everything, make it high, make people around here struggle, that you was going to have a certain race that would run to those jobs. I bet you I know which race you thought it was going to be. I ain't going to take it there, but y'all know. But see, Dino, let me put you up on something. Our ancestors, were forced to be in those fields. Our ancestors lack knowledge. They were unable to go to school and be educated and learn how to read, learn how to count, learn anything about handling business. They were forced. They were just tossed there, told whatever, and they had to do it. Shout out to our ancestors. Shout out to all the people who fought to give us equal right, fought to give us education, fought to give us our own mind, fought so we can go to school and learn business, fought to just simply teach us 1 + 1 = 2. We are not our ancestors. We are not our ancestors. Do you hear me? Dino. Boy, if FAFO ain't just, circling around the White House right now, you done fucked around and found out, didn't you?
So Donald Trump, not in these exact words, but basically admitted this week that a lot of the things that he's been doing, a lot of the policies, a lot of the executive orders that he's been signing off on was all made with the intention of getting Black people back into the field. It was made with the intention of getting Black people back into the field. All right, so on Tuesday, Donald Trump made an appearance, right, on CNBC's Squawk Box. And on that platform, he actually made a lot of commentary in regards to the situation with the deportations, migrant workers, the state of America's agriculture, and he made comments on inner city people not doing farm work. I want you to always remember that when they mention inner city, that means Black. In Donald Trump's exact words, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. They don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. He also went on to say that they are very, very, very special people and they cannot be easily replaced. Remember what I said, anytime that they mention the words inner city people, inner city communities, inner city neighborhoods, that's Black. That's code for Black. Black, blackity black, okay? Black people. And it is because of that exact commentary that it reconfirms for me, okay? Not confirms, but reconfirms, meaning that I already knew. But it reconfirms that the plan from the very beginning with these executive orders, right, was to further destabilize Black communities, further destabilize poor communities, but Black mainly, so that you could put pressure on these communities so that you could get them to go back into the field, right? And then once you get them back in the field, bingo, you've made America great again. Modernize slavery. But Black people said, fuck you and this little game that you want to play. Since we are the most valuable player on the scoreboard, we will remove ourselves and let's see if this game is still going to continue. And that's in fact what we're seeing right now. Donald Trump thought that by forcing all of these other people out, taking away our Medicaid, doing all of these things to further destabilize our community, that we would conform, that we would just do what he wants us to do, what the whites of this world, what white supremacy wants us to do. But Black people decided to pull a Uno reverse and they did nothing, which is something that they're not used to Black people doing. They're used to Black people having this spirit of rebellion, having this spirit of revolution. But instead, Black people decided that, you know what, I'm going to preserve my energy for me and my people, but I'm also going to remove myself from this game entirely. And now everything is starting to crumble. The way that the America agriculture is taking a huge hit right now because of Donald Trump and his deportations. Like, I don't think that you understand how much America survives off of the labor of undocumented workers. And when I say y'all, I mean all the other races. Black people knew because black people were telling you. They told you, don't do this. Don't do this because we're not going back in the field. Don't do this, but y'all didn't listen. And just to put into retrospect of how important undocumented migrant workers are to the agriculture economy here in America, the U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that roughly 42% of crop workers are undocumented, with nearly 70% being foreign born. This labor is essential in states like California and Texas, where up to 80% of farm workers lack legal status. Donald Trump signed off on a lot of these executive orders back in January. It is now August, and in between that time, he has done a parade of chaotic shit, trying to put pressure on the black community, but the black community has refused to fold. They have not folded. And it's not just the black community, but the legal Hispanic community here, the legal Latinos here, the Browns, and every other race that sees what this administration has been trying to do from the very beginning. They have not folded. And because of that, everything that he has signed off on in January is starting to bite him in the ass in August. And to all of you people out there that had so much to say in regards to the black community and the 92% and them actually deciding to stand down and not participate, to not get involved, to protect their peace, all of the critiques that you had on their decision, let this be your example. Let this be your primary example as to why you should stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. You had so much to say in regards to our decision and wanting to stand the fuck back and deciding to remove ourselves from this entire game altogether, right? Now, you see that black people actually knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They told you were going to need these people because they weren't doing it anymore. They told you they wasn't going to do it anymore. You still got rid of them people. You still got rid of the migrants. You still did and went through with the mass deportations, and now you guys want food. But you thought that the black people was going to get into the field. No, they wasn't going to do it. They wasn't going to do it.
You're not going to believe this. I saw that someone on Twitter were saying, the white farmers on Twitter were saying that when they had all these mass deportations, that they just automatically thought that they were going to send the black people to work their farms. The black farmers who had already lost their farms, and just, other black people, because they needed the help and they wanted the government to send them, I guess, criminals so they can work on their farms, so they can keep their farms. Because, me keeping my farm and not caring about you and giving you low wages, that's just the American dream, right? Stop it. Y'all need to stop this. This is just totally ridiculous. Little Johnny, little Susie, all the ones that you're paying all this money because you've gotten all this government money for free. You need to go get them out of college, which is what they used to do in the olden days. Get them out of college, get them out of their little jobs, and get them working that farm on the weekend. There you go. See, I fixed it for you.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and present Agent Stories. Now, brothers and sisters, there's something that black people did, and I think I said it even upfront, that I'm really, really proud of black people. The decisions that they made, because they decided to now become valuable people of the United States. And I think it was just a reminder that they were trying to remind the people of the United States, you all take us for granted. Well, the immigrants are gone now. Why do you think you're going to be getting people who will be working on your farms? That's the question that we were asking ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, by default, Mr. Donald Trump thought that by deporting black Americans, what's going to happen is that he's going to be getting blacks to go and work on the farms, blacks to go and do all these things that all these immigrants are doing. But I want you to understand one thing about the immigrants that were working in the United States, right? The first thing that the wages that they were given, they were so much exploitative. The exploitative wages that they were given. In line to that, I'm also going to be explaining why it was not successful for all these white farmers to lure black people to work on their farms. Now, let me first tackle the immigrant issue first. This is how they dealt with the immigrants. First, they knew that they had immigrants who were undocumented, right? Undocumented immigrants. This already confirms that this is a type of an immigrant who has left probably Mexico or whichever country that they are from. That they left without documents. True, they are illegal in the country. And so this means that these are a group of desperate people who needed money. These are desperate people who need something. Probably they want to make their country good. Probably they want to send money back at home. But you understand that being undocumented immigrant made you to be desperate for any wage. And so this is where these farmers took advantage. They took advantage of these people. How? First, they threatened them that, if you don't accept this wage, I can easily report you and you'll go back to the United States. True. They told them that you have nowhere. Nobody will employ you if you don't have documents. We are the ones who can employ with documents. And that's where they started pushing for all these exploitative wages. They started giving all these farmers for all these years, for the longest years, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, we have heard people who are in the United States without the documents, right? They are undocumented immigrants. Later on, we started hearing people complaining, Americans complaining about so much immigrants who are even taking their jobs. And of course, it's normal, it's human that you realize that when we have a group of people that gets into the country, and now people start to scramble for other job sectors that now even including the documented immigrants they were having or they were doing. Now it starts becoming a massive problem. And now everyone is complaining about this issue, right? So that's when Mr. Donald Trump sat down and saw to himself, oh, we have black people and I cannot deport black people. So what can I do? What he can do, and he thought that this will work, is to deport immigrants, is to deport all these farmers that worked in all these farms. And you understand that this period coincided with the tariffs between China and the United States. Yes, that period coincided around 9 months ago. That period coincided with the problem of farming crisis, like the Arkansas that we are seeing right now, Nebraska that we are seeing right now. There's so much crisis there, right? People have given up, people are bankrupt, and all these things which are happening over there, right? So, a couple of two things that I want to say. So, at the back of Mr. Donald Trump's mind, this is what he thought. He thought that black people will go to work on these farms, right? It turned out that black people know their value. In as much as how many times they tried to push to make their lives hard, they didn't give in to everything that was going on. Black people stayed on their line. They know their value, and that's what makes me happy for a black person who looks like me in the United States. They understand their value. They understand where they come from, and they understand the narcissistic behavior of the United States of always being exploitative. And so when the immigrants left, farmers turned to black people. Oh, they were like, why can't you come and work on our farms, black people? Oh, we are ready to offer you the wages that you want. Now they are now desperate. They now want the help. They now want black people. So at the back of Mr. Donald Trump's mind, he thought by default, black people will go running to these farms to work. But he was disappointed when farming crisis now made him look like a puny, made him look like a less able president. And now he's looking at the world, and everyone is pointing finger at him. Everything is falling down. The economy is falling down. Everything is crumbling. And then he looks back, and then he looks back. He's kind of trying to regret every decision that he ever made about, immigrants and all the ICE raid craziness things that were happening in the United States. And now he starts to think of for himself, damn, I drained this country down. But what can I do? And I think that's the time where he is recognizing that it is to bring back the immigrants who he took away. But I understand the immigrants will come because probably they're desperate. They need work. They need money. They have families that depend on them. But one thing that I will advise any immigrant before going back to the United States is that please try get the documents so that you don't get used, so that you don't get paid exploitative wages. Right. So please let me know what you think and feel about this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Agent X Stories, #1 presenter Agent X Stories. Until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.